National Commission on Farmers headed by Dr. M.S. Swaminathan, highlighted the main reasons. Okay, so he said that what are the main reasons of this agriculture problem. Okay, so he said that India were, it is because of not MSP, it is because of the land reforms, there is no technology exhaustion, water scarcity is there is lack of irrigation, there is inadequate access and availability of institutional source of finance, whatever I told you, there is a lot of dependence on money lenders, there's a weak market infrastructure, there is lack of opportunities, for assured and remunerative marketing is not happening, there is no development, there is low levels of education and skills, and lack of employability of surplus workforce outside the agriculture. So whatever points I discussed, the Swaminathan committee also put out this. Okay, and that is why it is called as Dr. Swaminathan, because it was headed by Dr. M.S. Swaminathan. So the Swaminathan Commission had recommended, several path-breaking measures to resolve this agrarian distress in India, and these recommendations are of more vital nature, and they give you the entire problem of how can we solve the farmers' distress. So the National Commission on farmers' recommendations are mainly in the domain of land reforms, then irrigation, productivity, credit insurance, food security, bioresources, public investment in agriculture, then human development, and rural farm sector. So the Swaminathan Commission has thus provided a lot of solutions to the agrarian crisis and the farmers crisis or distress, both in the domain of the agriculture sector as well as outside the agriculture sector, like what is going to happen to the excess of the people who are not required. That solution was also given by Swaminathan committee. Now we will talk about is the alternative. So what is the alternative for this? Let's see. So the alternative. So the alternative is to go for, there is a new price system called as deficiency price payment. Okay, so what is deficiency price payment? Without requiring the government to purchase undesirable quantities and undesirable commodities. Okay, so deficiency price payment must be a part of difference between the actual price received by the farmers and the MSP. Now, in order to ensure that there is a resale or produce does not make the size of efficiency or payment, so there must be an auction. So if there is an auction, then the labor charges are also included. Now this alternative system was adopted in Madhya Pradesh, and it was in Madhya Pradesh government launched it as a price deficiency payment schemes for the farmer. So let me write down here. So Madhya Pradesh government launched this scheme, okay, and it is also called as Bhavantar Bhugtan Yojana. So Yojana in Hindi is called as scheme. It's also called as BBY, and it was introduced in 2017 October. Okay, now the BBI, this is very important, currently applies 8 Kharif crops. So what are the 8 Kharif crops? Let me just wrap this. So what are the 8 Kharif crops? So 8 Kharif crops. So let's see one by one. So the first one is soya bean. Second is maize. third is urad, fourth is tur, fifth is lentil, sixth is moong, seven is groundnut, eight is ramtil. So under BBY, the state government credits the difference between the MSP and the modal price, that is the average price, which whatever is prevailing in the market, directly into the bank accounts of the beneficiaries. So the farmers have to first, register on a BBY portal. So there's a portal which is made, after which they are asked to bring their produce to the mandis or to the markets, yes, at a time specified by the government. At this time you have to bring your produce to the mandis. Then the quantity of the produce qualified for the price deficiency payment is determined by the state government on the basis of average productivity and the area under cultivation to the or for the crop. Now, however, the scheme has a very limited success, and the scheme is not inclusive, as the benefits of the BBY is, limited to only small number of farmers who register under the portal. So every farmer cannot register themselves under portal. So this is the technology problem. So for example, if you see, only 32% of urad production in Madhya Pradesh, got the Yojana's benefit, despite the fact that ASP of urad was 42%. So what happened to the 10% farmers? Okay. Then if you see, in other words, so 68% of urad production was sold at prices below the MSP. So again, the farmers were at loss. Okay. Now in case of soybean also, the in Madhya Pradesh, soybean is the largest kharif crop. It is the state's prime kharif crop. The percentage of production, benefiting from this scheme is even lower. It is only 18.5%, despite it's below 12%, the MSP. So basically what is happening is, since because everybody is not being able to register in the portal, this scheme is not happening. So, and for the maize and groundnut and moong also, if you say maize, groundnut and moong, the coverage is much poorer. Okay. So moreover, the farmers are not registered on the portal. They have to suffer big losses because, traders are suppressing the market. They are dominating the market. And so I can conclude that, BBY is not inclusive, and it only covers 25% of the farmers' losses, and it is prone to manipulation. So there is a lot of changes and manipulation by the traders. Now, a similar price deficiency scheme was launched by the government of government of Haryana for onion, then tomatoes, potatoes, and cauliflowers, and the government of Telangana, where the farmers are given investment support for their working capital needs. So it's like, daily they can take money from the government. Now, in addition to these expenses, there are a lot of changes and a lot of distortions are there. So the marketed surplus for all the crops is likely to increase, since farmers find it more profitable to sell all the produce in the mandis. Okay. So the BBY scheme window is likely to open for only a couple of months, and the farmers will have to sell their produce and within the short time frame to avail the compensation. Now, this scheme will be worse for the unregistered small and marginal farmers, because they will be forced to sell their produce at lower prices and will not be compensated for their losses. So this scheme is actually only for the good farmers, or for the very educated farmers, or for a very the high class farmers. Okay, and it's for the elite farmers who are very rich and they know the system well. So therefore the scheme may end up helping traders more than the needy farmers. So only traders are benefited with this scheme. Farmers are not benefited. So the government of Telangana, they had this input support scheme, which is more inclusive, since it does not require farmers to register their areas and crops. So what is the scheme which Telangana government did? The main scheme is to save the farmers from the money lenders by providing them loans for the purchase of inputs like seeds, then fertilizers, machinery, hired labor. And moreover, the farmers are given a choice to produce any crop and sell it anytime in a mandi of his choice. So there is a lot of options here. Now the Telangana model, so let me mention here, the Telangana model is called as crop neutral because it is more reasonable and transparent. Okay, so the scheme is basically based on market mechanism. So it is based on market mechanism. Okay, so there is no distortion of price. Now in contrast, the government of Telangana and the government of Karnataka, so I'll give you some more information to this also. So in contrast, the government of Telangana and the government of Karnataka has plans to launch now this is a scheme which you need to know, the input income support scheme on per hectare basis for both the Kharif and Rabi season in 2018 and 19. Now the scheme is more inclusive since it does not require farmers to register, I told you, and the main aim is to save the farmers from money lenders by providing them loans to the purchase of inputs, and moreover the farmers are given a choice to produce any crop and sell at any mandi of the choice. Now the Telangana model is a crop neutral and more reasonable, and this Telangana government scheme will support this investment at rupees 4,000 per acre per farmer for the purchase of inputs like seeds, then fertilizers, pesticides, etc. Now the amount will be directly paid, again and again I'm saying, into the bank account. So they have to open bank accounts, all that is, and it is zero balance, so they don't need to keep any minimum balance, and this amount will be directly paid into the bank accounts of the farmers before the beginning of the sowing season. So on similar lines, the same way, even Karnataka government was encouraged by Telangana, and so the Karnataka government also plans to implement the this scheme of rupees 5,000 per hectare for dry land farmers, because if you see, Karnataka is a very dry region, so most of the dry land farmers, they suffer a lot. So this scheme is inclusively for the dry land farmers in Kharif in 2018. Okay, so now we will talk about some pricing policy for sugarcane. Okay, so pricing policy for sugarcane. Now the pricing of sugarcane is governed by the statutory, so I've said what is the statutory provisions of the Sugarcane Control Order 1996, issued under the essential, so sugarcane is an essential commodity, essential Commodities Act, that is ECA 1955. So this is an act which was launched in 1955. Now prior to 2009 and 10, sugar season especially, the central government was fixing the SMP. So what is SMP? The statutory minimum price of sugarcane, and the farmers were entitled to share the profits of a sugar mill. So whatever they used to distribute to the sugar mills, so they were entitled to distribute the profits on a 50-50 basis. Now as this sharing of profits remained virtually unimplemented, so the Sugarcane Control Order 1966 was amended in October 2009, and this concept of statutory minimum price was replaced. Yes, and now because of this it was replaced by another price that is called as FRP. So what is FRP? Fair and remunerative price of sugarcane. So a new clause was created for the growers of sugarcane on account of risk and profits, and an additional factor for working out the FRP, and this entire thing or this mechanism was effective from 2009-10 sugar season. Okay, so what is the main criteria and how the control order is done? Let us see. So let me just rub this. So accordingly, the CACP is required to pay due regard to the statutory factors listed in the control order. So the first one, what are the lists? Let us see the list. So first, they have to pay for the cost of production of sugarcane. Then the return to the grower from alternative crops and the general trend of prices of agricultural commodities. Okay, then third, there must be the availability of sugar to the consumers at a fair price. Okay, next is also thinking about the price of sugar, that also has to be determined, and in case if there is a loss, there must be a recovery rate also. So just let me rub this. So let's go to the fifth factor also. Yes, so the fifth factor is the recovery rate of sugar from sugarcane. Okay, then also whatever is the realization, that is inserted. Okay, So this is also called, this is called as realization. So this is, I cannot explain this because this is the act and it has to be remembered this way only. So the realization made from the sale, molasses is the extract, okay, sale of byproducts, because sugarcane has a lot of byproducts. So what are the byproducts? Such as molasses, bagasse, and press mud, press mud, or their total value, that is imputed value, which is inserted in December 2008. Okay, and then seventh is reasonable margins for growers of sugarcane on account of risk and profits, that is inserted in December 2009. So the states also announced a price. Let us see what was the announcement. Okay, so let me just clearly wrap this also. So the states also announce a price called the State Advisory Price, that is SAP, which is usually higher than the SMP. Okay, now other major support schemes of government. So let us see other support schemes. So the first one was market intervention scheme. So it is also called as MIS, which is implemented at the request of the state governments, for the procurement of perishable and horticultural commodities in the event of, the fall of market prices. Now the scheme is implemented, when there is at least 10% increase in the production or 10% decrease in the ruling rates over the previous year. So the proposal of MIS is basically approved on the specific request of the union territory or the state government, and if the state government or the union territory is ready to bear, the 50% loss, or and in case of northeast only the government is supposed to bear 25%. So okay, so under MIS funds are not allocated to the states. Instead, the central government shares the losses as per the guidelines of the MIS, and it is released to the state governments or the union territories, for which, the MIS has been approved based on specific proposals. So suppose if I am a farmer and I tell you, according to the MIS scheme, the state will definitely inform the central government, and the central government will pay my losses, and it will reach to the state government, and the state government will only pay me back. Okay, the next scheme is the PSS, that is the price supports scheme. Okay, now the Department of Agriculture and the Cooperation implements the PSS procurement of oil seeds, then pulses and cotton through, this minimum support price declared by the government. Okay, so this is now the national or the agriculture corporation, it under, when the prices fall below the MSP, then this PSS is used. Okay, so procurement under PSS is continued till prices stabilize or or they are above the MSP. So losses, if anything, which is incurred by these farmers, the MSP operations, they will pay back, or the government will pay back for the losses. Okay, now if there is any profit which the farmers will do, then definitely it will again, the excess profit will be again credited to the central government. So this is the way the price support scheme is done. The next one is buffer stock. So buffer stock is another main instrument of agriculture pricing policy in India. Now India has a policy of maintaining a minimum reserve of food grains only for, as I said, wheat and rice, so that the food is available throughout the country at affordable prices round the year. So the main supply from the government's buffer stock goes to the public distribution system, and now it is called as TPDS, and at time goes to open market to check the rising prices, if needed. So public sector food grain stocks are, significant support of India's food policy and food security. So now they have three important societal goals. So the first goal is to provide space for effective implementation of minimum support price for rice and wheat through procurement mechanism. The second one, to maintain the price stability arising out of the year-to-year fluctuations in output or any other reasons. Third, as a source of supply for public distribution system and various other schemes, or they have to sustain the food and nutrition security, particularly for the very poor section or economically weaker sections. They always have to provide the supply to these weaker sections. Okay, so the Food Corporation of India is the key agency for procurement and storage, as I had explained to you yesterday, and the distribution of food grains. And in addition to the requirements of wheat and rice under the targeted PDS system, the central government is essential to have sufficient stocks, okay, at the time of emergency, or if there is a drought or there is a failure of the crop, as well as to allow open market operations or open market intervention is there when the prices increase. Okay, so now in the next class I will tell you what are the major objectives of buffer stock. Okay, so I'll tell you the major objectives right now, and then we will continue tomorrow for the other topic. So the first one is, as I had told you, to feed people. Second is stabilize price, guarantee food security, okay, then ensure right to food. So remember this act, Right to Food Act, to food to every individual. So basically their main focus is to feed people under targeted public distribution system and other welfare schemes. So this is the main reason. But however, the buffer stock policy has raised questions over the storage, because storage is not happening under the Food Corporation in India, and this issue has been highlighted in the Supreme Court also, which recommends that the government should allocate the grains free of cost to the poor section of the society, but which is not happening, and this problem is huge. So the government does not have any immediate solution for this, and the Food Corporation of India has to increase the storage capacity to accommodate the whatever the requirement or the record procurement is required. Okay, so now tomorrow's class I will talk about the current buffer stock policies of the government. Okay, so stay safe, stay healthy, and take care, and please revise what I have done till now. Thank you.